What's up, co-reporters? Welcome back to my channel. Listen, it has to be said, if you've watched every single episode of Love is Blind thus far, meaning up until episode 10, I think we still only have 1 or 2 episodes of the season, but we just found out SK and Raven, what happens to them when they hit the altar. So spoiler alert, if you have not watched that yet, you might want to click off of this video because we're going to talk about the result of that. Spoiler alert. Again, I have to tell you so you don't get mad at me, but how floored are you on a scale of 1 to 10 by what wound up happening at that altar? Literally, my heart broke. I felt like I was Raven at the altar getting played in front of my friends and in front of the world like that. Like, I think this just solidified my stance that SK was the true villain of Love is Blind season 3. On these shows, there's always a show villain and an actual villain. And, you know, if you watch my old videos in season 1, I talked about that. And season 2, I didn't really care for the season, so I didn't really cover it. But season 3, it's SK, you guys, and it's undeniable. Like, we cannot defend this man at this point after what it is that he did to Raven. Raven had to put up with the most out of any of these fiancés, right? Like, she had to acclimate to a new culture, to a new language, to new food. She had to wear bridal gear that was not like in her vision. When she was young and dreaming of being a bride, she was not dreaming of wearing like a headpiece, a turban, or whatever. But she did it because she loved SK and she wanted to show that she was making an honest effort to integrate their lives and cultures together. And so when she gets down that aisle, and mind you, SK had been reassuring her this entire time that he loved her, he wanted to marry her, and that they were going to be like that perfect couple. Like, we saw them in episode 9 talking about how like their love story is just different than everybody else's because Raven is different from the other women. Her dream is not to be a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, whatever. She wants to work. She wants to work out. She just wants to do all sorts of different things. And SK was very positive and encouraging of it. And he never showed any concerns. Like, the only concern that he expressed was very minor, which was that her family was not going to be at the wedding. But the reason that Raven's family was not going to be at the wedding was because it was filmed for the show and they did not want to appear on the show. But they did actually end up meeting SK outside of the cameras. They got along very well. According to Raven, they gave their blessing to move forward with the relationship. So SK should have been okay with it, in my opinion, or like at the very least understanding. Like, it's not unique to Raven. It has happened in past seasons and it will happen again in future seasons. Sometimes the families are just not on board with this quick reality TV marriage situation. But like, if it actually does follow through and happen, like, they will at some point accept the partner. And Raven's family actually did a step above that. And especially when you compare it to Cole's family, who won't even meet Zenab until after they get married. Her family, at the very least, met SK and built a rapport with him so that he could trust that they are willing to be there for the actual marriage outside of the show and outside of the cameras. And mind you, Raven was so calm when she was explaining her side and defending her family's side of that. You know, I really admired the way that she handled that conversation. Like, especially when you compare it to the way that Zenab acted when Cole would confront her on little things about her that were kind of like giving him pause for the relationship. She was very defensive. She had an excuse for everything and she would shut it down. She never actually heard his concerns, but Raven heard his concerns. She told her side and everything was just like hunky-dory from there on her end. You know, she never got really pissy with him. She was just upset that he was trying to kind of punish her for something that she could not control, which is how her family felt about the marriage and everything like that. So again, Raven takes on so much of a new culture and a way of being and everything. And I'm not even gonna like, I feel like some people are going to be offended by this, and I'm sorry if you feel offended by this, but let me just say this. Some of the aspects of this culture were very misogynistic, in my opinion. The whole, you better have like food waiting on your man when he comes home or whatever and stuff like that. I was not a fan of. Like, if I were Raven, I would be like, really? Like, this is what you guys expect from me? Sorry, but it's not going to happen. He's a grown-ass man. He can have food waiting for me sometimes too. You know what I mean? Like, we're both in this relationship together. It's not just me. It's not just him. He's not going to be the king of my world. I'm not going to be his servant. I'm his wife. I'm an equal partner, et cetera, et cetera. And despite that, Raven still wanted to marry this man, you know, and I think that spoke a lot to her, how much she loved him and how much of herself she was willing to give up for this marriage and this relationship, just to be blindsided at the altar by this man. If you watched my video from yesterday, I said that SK never should have even done the show, you guys. SK is about to go away out of Texas to go and study in California for like 2 or 3 years. So I didn't even understand why someone in that position would want to do the show. Like, he's going to have to shrink his budget, live like a student, and money is like the number one cause for divorce. So why start off a marriage like that, especially a marriage to a stranger, and then the long distance thing, all the airports and stuff like that. It's just too much stress and too much recipe for disaster. And these are all things that Raven, my darling Raven, who was so unfairly judged from the beginning of the episode, was willing to accept just to be with this man because she was genuine and she loved this man. Even though, and I'm going to admit it, you guys, and I did apologize in a video. I said we all owe her an apology. We all thought she just wanted to be a Pilates influencer and use the show for that. But it turns out that between the two of them, Raven was the most genuine. She accepted so much. She was willing to change so much for a man who was not willing to compromise, to change, to nothing. He wanted things that were very specific. I want a wife that's going to have my food waiting for me at the door when I get home. You know, I want a wife that's willing to leave her home, her family, her friends in Texas to come move with me to California. Like, it wasn't enough that she was willing to have a long distance marriage while he studies in California and then potentially comes back to Texas. But now, because she's not at all willing to move to California, that's a deal breaker. Well, SK, why were you even on the show? Love is Blind goes by city for this particular reason, so that no one has to worry about like uprooting their lives and moving away. Listen, I uprooted my life and moved away, you know, and it wasn't even states away within the same country. It was on the other side of the world, different continent, different language and everything, different culture. And it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And it's not something that you should expect someone to do for you, in my opinion, especially someone who barely knows you. At this point, SK and Raven had known each other for only a couple of weeks. And he was about to say, you know, you need to be willing to do all of this for me. And if you don't, then we can't get married. Like, why would someone with all of these requirements even go on the show? It's too much. It's too much. You know, the requirement for the wifey to lower her living standard potentially, because he's a student and he's not going to be spending all that much money with her and stuff for entertainment or whatnot, to spend a lot of her time in airports and in airplanes traveling for this man. You know what I mean? To learn this new culture, to learn this new food, to learn this way of being some kind of a Nigerian bride or a Nigerian wife or whatever that is as an American woman. It's just so much that he wanted this woman to do. She was willing to do it. She gets to the altar, about to say yes because she's ready to do it all, give it all up for this man. And then he goes, actually, you know what? No, because you don't want to move to California one day. And also, your family does not want to show up to the wedding. I don't understand why that was such a big deal for this man. I don't understand. I feel like, and it's funny because I actually was talking to a channel member a little bit earlier about this. If I could say her name, Rachel, shout out. And she was saying that that is just a cop out for him. It seems like SK did not actually want to marry Raven for whatever reason. And he just kind of grasped at straws in order to find something to use as his get out of jail free card in this relationship. And I don't know what his motive was for doing this show. Is it for fame? Is it for this? Is it for that? I don't know. But at the end of the day, he blindsided Raven. He did not express all of these concerns seriously throughout the show. He kept on reassuring her that they were the ultimate couple. Their relationship was the most mature and stable, to quote him exactly, just to leave her like that at the altar. I know we talked a lot about how Cole is a major F-boy, but one thing we cannot take away from Cole is that at the very least, he talks to his fiancée Zeneb about his concerns when it comes to her. That she can be patronizing, that she could be too naggy, that she could be a bit annoying and negative and stuff like that. Like, he lets her know. So if he says no at the altar, at the very least, Zeneb will not be blindsided, you know? And then same goes for that other toxic couple, Matt and Colleen. They had a conversation, a very honest conversation just before hitting the altar. That episode has not dropped yet as of this filming. And you know, she let him know. Like, he was like, listen, I'm feeling like you're having doubts. Tell me right here, right now. I need to know. And so he forced her hand into telling him that she might not be able to marry him because he's always looking to run away from her, you know. But SK never pushed to have these kinds of conversations with his fiance. Like, what was his end goal here? Like, it seemed like because he never pushed for these conversations, he was never willing to actually work on their relationship. Like, he already in his mind had it set that he did not literally, legitimately want to form a life with Raven. He just let her think that that's what he wanted. You know, he let her think that there were no issues in their relationship, everything would be perfect, and that they would make the perfect couple and everything like that, just to leave her hanging at the very end. And I feel like that's so freaking unfair. Say what you want about Cole, you guys. Say what you want about that man, but he has let Zenab know about his doubts. You know, when it comes to attraction to her, when it comes to her personality, all sorts of things. He has let her know. Even Bartise, you guys, F-boy Bartise has told Nancy, you know, before, hey, I'm struggling with being physically attracted to you. So she would not be shocked if he said no at the altar. And Nancy has even told him, if we were to be asked if we were at the altar today, I would say yes. And Bartise did not lead her on. SK has led Raven on like that, talking about, oh yeah, like we're perfect. We're going to make a wonderful, like, you know, husband and wife. But Bartise just stared at Nancy when she said that. He didn't say that he felt the same way. So you can't say that he led her on. You know what I mean? Like, these other guys that I'm bringing up to compare to SK are toxic without a doubt. But at the very least, they've been honest to their fiancés' faces and let their fiancés decide to keep moving on or to not keep him moving on. You know, at the end of the day, it is Zenab's decision to continue along with a man who tells her that other women are more beautiful than her, more laid back than her, and more fun than her. And it is Nancy's decision to move forward with a man that tells her that Raven is more beautiful than her and that he's too good looking for her, etc., etc. You know, like, they're toxic, but they're honest. And SK is just, he was just dishonest. He was misleading to Raven. And I don't know, like, I kind of feel like if I were Raven, I'd be doubly hurt. First, by my the way I was represented on the show by the producers as being very vapid and fake and only there to build some sort of like a social media following or whatever. And then second of all, by being played by this man who really had me believing that we were going to be together forever, just to let me fall like that at the altar in front of everyone. Like, when she was walking down the aisle talking about, what did she say? She's like, I never want to get married again. I never want to have another wedding or whatever. Like, just crying like that. I felt horrible. She didn't deserve that at the end of the day. I don't know what SK was doing on the show. If he knew he wanted to leave Texas, why sign up on a show where people are supposed to get married and build their lives in Texas? It makes no sense. You know, if he wanted someone who's so Nigerian with such Nigerian principles, why are you on an American dating show where you're going to meet American women with American values and American culture? Like, it just did not make any sense, and I can't get behind it, you guys. I'm sorry, but it turns out that we were bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray by SK. We really thought he was a great guy, a stand-up guy, but it turns out he was a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let me know. Do you agree? Or I just got a private chat I have to read to you guys from my channel member, Rachel. She says he wanted that influencer money to have coming in during college. Listen, I wouldn't doubt it. The things people will do, people are always willing to do strange for a bit of change. And I do not put nothing past nobody, not even you, SK, not even you. Guys, do you think SK played us all? Was he the real villain of Love is Blind Season 3? Make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.